Good afternoon, everybody. Welcome to Duckman TV. Got a special guest with us today from Northwest Hurricanes, Dave McDonald. Dave, how are you going?
Duckman, thank you very much for having me. I'm going very well, mate. Thank you.
Yeah, it's an honour to have you on. So I want to have a chat about the cricket club. I'm doing some sports writing now as well for Hills Independent, Hawkesbury Independent, and Blacktown Independent magazines. You can catch them monthly. And I think it's a great opportunity to talk about clubs that probably don't get talked about very much or get much coverage and that sort of stuff. So would you be able to give us a little bit of info about some of the history of the Northwest Hurricanes? When did they kick off and how are they structured? You just tell me a little bit about before.
Yeah, certainly. The Northwest Sydney Hurricanes formed in 2000 through the merging of the old Shires Shires Cricket Club and the old formerly Wentworthville, then became the Holroyd Cricket Club. So the two clubs merged and joined forces in 2000. Now, we had grounds over both councils, but now we're predominantly based in the Hills Shire for our seniors, with our main grounds at Rouse Hill, Balcombe Hills and Castle Hill. Now we've got senior men's cricket in the Sydney Shires competition. For those that don't know, it's the secondary turf competition in Sydney below New South Wales Premier Cricket. We've got a number of teams in other turf cricket competitions below Sydney Shires cricket, including the Metropolitan Cup. But we also have junior representative teams from under 15 boys, under 14 girls, down to under 11s mix. So great thing now is under 11s upwards. There's not just boys; it's for girls and boys. So our club, we represent quite a wide range of ages and across the geographical area. Matt Hills is quite large, but also taking into consideration the former area that we serviced in around Wentworthville, Greystanes as well.
That's a big catchment area. You're going down the Wentworthville, you'll be getting some good players around there too. I remember playing once upon a time. You wouldn't remember me. I was average. Mark Ralph, who played for Western Suburbs back in the 90s when I was young and had brown hair and potential. And he was a first grade cricketer, I reckon, with Western Suburbs. Now I've been told he's playing for Wenny RSL or something like that these days.
That'd be handy.
Good batter. Yeah, I think he's still handy and can get out there and get on the tonk too. So you've got some good players in your club as well at the moment. So do you want to run through some of the guys you got rolling around playing in your Shires team?
Certainly. Well, we've got some new leadership this year. Very well-known cricketer, former grade cricketer, and has been at the Auburn club for the last few years. Corey Lowe, he's come across to our club and is our first grade captain. He, without doubt, is leading from the front by a mile. He's been one of the competition's best batsmen for a number of years now. He's proving that despite, again, first grade probably not going as well as we hoped early in the season, but we'll get onto that shortly. 455 runs already this season, including 175 not out, 100 not out, 69 not out. So he's averaging 143.3 and makes it look easy. He really does. It's a pleasure to watch. But he's been a great acquisition for the club. But he's also brought along a few mates with him. Again, a couple of ex-Hawkesbury players in Jay Dybel and Pat Lawrence. Very handy additions. Plus, we've got obviously a mix of again, that experience plus some new up-and-coming players like our Frank Ray Shield captain, Jack Hansen, and other young Lachlan Pallister as well, who's a first change bowler. Again, he's improving game by game, again, with the added experience. So our first grade, again, is a good mix of experience and youth, but we've seen, as you've mentioned, we're talking off air, a few old heads that have gotten down the grades to keep playing while their bodies are just hanging on, and also share some of that experience with our younger players. But I play third, currently in the third grade side, and we've got a New South club coach and ex New South Wales fast bowler Don Nash is in our side, along with ex Penrith and Blacktown batsman Damien Giroux. We're again all in our 40s and struggle to move, but the boys have still got a reasonable eye. But it's what rubs off on the other players, particularly the young ones coming through, just about the little intricacies of the game, and particularly batting's changed, like particularly with T20 cricket. The art of batsmanship, I think, is going out the window with all these silly shots. And when you get into a longer form cricket, these kids just don't know how to approach saving the wicket, so to speak. So it's hearing the stories that these guys share is really valuable.
Well, I've seen a lot of that. So I played a lot of indoor cricket too, on Super League indoor cricket and that sort of stuff. And I could see the bastardized style of cricket as just flourishes in indoor cricket. Guys, one-handed flicks behind all sorts of stuff. So do whatever off the, like, just wrist shots into the net, back net for 6 or anything. So they just do some stuff. People say, oh, well, as Bill Laurie would say in 12 Man, oh, it's a bit of arsey cricket, but it's good to watch, but like actually not good structurally when you're trying to build some sort of innings of substance, say, for a team.
That's right. But again, kids are not playing as much longer form cricket where they have to bat time. So it makes it hard when they come into senior cricket. And that's where our club is so vital as a development tool for kids maybe wanting to go on, is they really haven't got that opportunity to play more than 50 over cricket. So being able to play 2-day cricket, whether that be 80 or 90 overs per day, gives them that opportunity again to bat time under different conditions and learn those skills that they're not going to learn even in junior rep cricket, because again they're only one day matches. So yeah, that's what, again, we're such a good stepping stone for guys that have gone on to successful New South Wales Premier cricket careers, and even one that has gone on to now become a successful Sheffield Shield batsman.
Who's that? Who kicked on to that?
A young gentleman by the name of Tim Ward. He's currently opening batsman for Tasmania.
Yep.
He's a Hills Barbarians junior, was also Parramatta representative junior, who decided to try his hand as a 15-year-old at the Hurricanes, and just like that, get some experience against men and on turf. He ended up in first grade as a 15-year-old, was just denied a century, and then from there went to Parramatta, made his way into first grade, was scoring 1,000 runs a year. I believe he got us, I think, 1 game or 2 games in the New South Wales second 11 when Tasmania came knocking with a rookie contract offer, which he took, and he hasn't looked back. He's now the third on the run scorers list so far for Sheffield Shield runs in 22-23. So again, just shows you that, again, I think for me, Shires cricket certainly not out of the development. Well, they call the pathway, but certainly plenty of players have gone from us to Hawkesbury and Parramatta and Blacktown, and have gone on and kicked on, which is what we're about.
Oh, 100%. And like you said, even in New South Wales, if you show development and skills and a bit of longevity, you can put some performances on the board over a period of time. I'm thinking of guys like, because I live up near Penrith, guys like Steve Nicataris and Jason Armberger couldn't crack the New South Wales squad, go to Victoria and WA, straight in. They're straight in. They walk-in starts that Armberger must have gone close to making the Australian squad, except the Australian squad was so good. And Steve Nicataris was no slouch as a bowler. There's plenty of stories like that of guys who've developed their careers and moved on to other states. Jeff Thompson, that's probably the best, along Alan Border. And there you go. Like, it's just, New South Wales is a good development path for people to kick on.
Yeah, unfortunately, there's only 11 spots in the New South Wales team, Duckman, and there's so many talented cricketers around. It's just an option that if they want to play first-class cricket, make a career out of themselves, it's something they have to consider seriously. And we see New South Welshmen, going all over the place. But yeah, there's and they say that a number of state cricketers were just born in the wrong era, because like Jamie Siddons and Jamie Cox that just scored runs after runs but couldn't get a go. You've got it. Yeah, it's just one of those things with cricket.
No, 100%. So you've been I've been in and out of cricket since I was a young boy, but haven't been heavily involved in cricket for well over 10 years now. Would you say that cricket at the moment is in good health in the local levels? Because people tell you all sorts of stories, and I haven't really seen it.
Well, I can only go off my experiences. I must say I haven't been involved. I sort of look from the helicopter view about what's going on, but I haven't been heavily involved in it. Um, there's certainly a demographic change in junior cricket. Now, I also think an issue is volunteerism. It's getting harder and harder to get volunteers to spend that time coaching kids. So I do have some concerns, whatsoever. I mean, I do see that New South Wales Premier Cricket noticing few of the fifth grade games that players are getting younger and younger. So I'm just wondering, again, I don't have participation stats in front of me, but yeah, I do worry again. Because I think the short form of the game has sort of meant that people look to other things apart from longer sports. And again, cricket does take up a bit of time, and
Yeah.
parents, I suppose, at the end of the day, mate, it's up to the parents if they can commit that time. And I think we're seeing that less and less.
Yeah. So I have noticed when I was growing up in the late 80s, early 90s, and that come through cricket mid 90s as a young kid, teenager, and all that sort of stuff. But we were playing 60 over cricket, right? So that was a 2-day game, 60 overs. And the reason why it wasn't longer, I suppose, other than my side didn't want to get whipped anymore, I didn't play for any real great sides. Um, the kids are playing 60 overs, will then go and play grade cricket for like Penrith, Blacktown, Parramatta, Campbelltown, whoever. So if they go and play for those sides, I'm not sure that's happening now. Like I believe it that the local, definitely in Penrith, I think they make kids retire when they get to a certain level now, so everyone gets a bit of a crack. They don't just have like Don Bradman style kids in the team. It's much more about widespread participation, which is good for the sport, but it's probably holding the best of the best back.
Totally agree. And it's hard to have that balance between giving everyone a go, keeping everyone interested to that talented one. You're going to get those talented batsmen that are going to get, score big runs against no matter who they're playing against, and bowlers that might be just too quick for the kids at that age and are going to run through teams. That's a fact. But it's again, it's about how they then. Or it's down to maybe individual clubs at such a young age is maybe pushing them higher age group wise. But yeah, it's a balance again. If you have to retire at 30, well then more. Why do how do you value wicket more? It's harder. But in terms of junior cricketers playing grade cricket, I think you're finding that junior cricketers are giving up junior cricket earlier. So I know in Parramatta District, they've gone from having an under 16s, so they'd go from 14s, 15s, 16s, but now they've skipped 16, so it's under 15s and now under 17s. I think because you're finding that a lot more kids are playing Shires cricket or grade cricket as an alternative to junior cricket. And again, because you think it's a long day, junior cricket, 60 overs in the morning, whatever it is, then you've got to fly the other side of Sydney. It's a very big commitment from a parent. So I think that's probably my best observation. The kids, again, starting grade and Shires earlier.
Yeah. So one thing I noticed, the school had a lot of mates that the guys, by the time we got to about 13, 14, kids didn't want to play cricket. They were filtering out. So the ones that did want to play kept on playing. It's a tough gig to keep people playing these days too, because people got to work Saturdays or Sundays or whatever, and pretty hard to knock back $300 or $400 in a warehouse to be out in the oval, no matter how much you love the game, for like 6 or 7 hours. It's a bit of a tough comparison to give. But I've noticed heaps of kids. Even when I was 16, I didn't play under 16s of that. I went straight to grade, so from 14, because there were more opportunities. So that was the thing. Even though I was lower grade stuff, I'm playing with guys that needed you in their team, but you had a purpose, and it was good to have that. Do you see a lot of that in your side now in the club?
Yeah, definitely. So we've got, particularly our Metropolitan Cup squads are rife with a lot of young talent where, again, 15, 16 years old that potentially could be playing junior cricket, but instead getting 50 over or 40 over matches every day or every Saturday on turf. So getting 8 overs in, which is probably about the restriction. and still having enough time to have a good bat for the batsmen. So again, just the opportunity on turf. The kids certainly have jumped at the chance to play turf and get any experience they can on turf before potentially moving on, because it's a totally different game. You've got to hit different lengths as a bowler. Batsman, you've got to get used to different bounce, and obviously adjust technique to certain conditions, because no one pitch is the same. So yeah, I'm finding that definitely that there's the kids are taking that step earlier, and that's particularly in our area, definitely, because why play 17s when I could play on turf?
Yeah, 100%. And you get to play on the best pitches every week, as opposed to you don't know what you're going to get. So, and I noticed when play first grade, you get fixed fixtures for the season and times and stuff like that. You don't get moved around too much. What is the big differences? Because I haven't seen a Shires game for about. I worked with Damien Duro at P&O, and he used to tell us about his exploits. And
Yes.
I used to chip him a little bit about, you left Penrith, and he told me he was getting paid, and I went, what? You're getting paid? I didn't even realise it got paid. But what's the big differences that you noticed with the Shires compared to like Premier grade cricket?
Well, obviously, the pathway into professional cricket is via New South Wales Premier Cricket. Now, so the best of the best are going to be playing New South Wales Premier Cricket. Now, the training, they train most of the year round. They start off, obviously, early winter with fitness, indoor net sessions. They're training regularly. Shires, again, is probably, that either step back for grade players, or that next step for the young ones wanting to go to grade. So the bowlers are not as quick. That's probably the big difference. You're not going to get anyone that's really going to scare you in Shires. Generally, that's not to say that there's not any quick bowlers around, but one example, I suppose, I got to play a game opening the batting for Northwest Sydney against Burwood. Heard a rumour that one Wayne Holsworth was playing, which he ended up playing, and I had to face the first ball. So obviously, I've seen him over the years on television. And mind you, the first two balls were wides. I didn't even see them, but he still was nowhere. He still was obviously not back to when his prime. He was the quickest bowler in Australia for a number of years. So having guys like that come back is great. But again, it's again more a social thing. The training Shires is like my club trains 1 day a week. I think most clubs train 1 day a week. So that's the big difference. It's a stepping. I think it's a good stepping stone and a good step back. Played against some wonderful players over the years. Like Peter Toohey, Richard Michael Cheekoy. There's been a number of ex legends that have, like Graham Baird, that have played Shires cricket for one reason or another, whether it's a local affiliation to that club or again want to play cricket with mates before they hang it up.
Well, that's what I see. So there's like the opportunity to step down a level, still play very competitive on turf, as opposed to I don't think they let grade players. If you had a grade player like, let's say, Steve Smith decide I don't want to play for Australia anymore, and I just want to go back and play for my local club in Northern Suburbs or Sutherland or wherever he lives, I don't think they'd actually let him do it. So.
You'd only be allowed to play the top grade, but it'd be pretty silly not to let him do it. But I totally understand that, because certainly, as I mentioned before, Don Nash played first class. It is a rule in Shires cricket that if you have played first class cricket, that you should only you have to get obviously dispensation to play anything other than first grade.
Yeah. What about if the highest grade your club's got 11th grade or something like that?
That might be a different kettle of fish, though, mate. Wouldn't like a form of
grade.
You
get graded higher, so you have to go to a club that fields the grade where you need to be at. So, how many sides does your club have? And you've got women's cricket and girls' cricket as well, don't you?
Yeah, we do. So as I mentioned, we've got first to fifth grade in the Sydney Shires competition. We have two sides in the Metropolitan Cup competition, so the Metropolitan Cup competition, a lot of grade and Shires clubs have teams entered in that competition.
Yeah.
So it might be like a sixth grade for grade clubs, and again, like a sixth grade now that Shires has introduced fifth grade. So we've got two sides in that. And there's another one-day competition called the Chapelot Cup, which again, they're 40 over one-day competitions. So we've got 8 sides in total in those competitions. Plus, if you throw on top of that, Frank Grey Shield, which is mirrored on Point of and Grey Shield in Premier Cricket, except the age is different, under 24s. We're defending or joint premiers of that. But as you said, down to the junior representatives, under 15 boys for the very first time ever, under 14 girls, which is just fantastic. It's only a 4-team comp. I think Parramatta, Manly, and Illawarra, there's only a couple, but and this is the level down because they actually have obviously this is the second tier junior representative comp. So that's just a sign that girls cricket is getting bigger as they provide more opportunities. But we go down, as you said, under 14 boys, and we've got under 11 ones and under 11 twos in the President's Cup. Again, they don't disparage between boys and girls at that age group. It's all mixed, which is fantastic. And as you said, they start girls a little bit older. Now, for that, we're not an association. We're the clubs predominantly playing the Parramatta district, or Hornsby, Ku-ring-gai, Hawkesbury that are in our area in the Hills Shire. So we're pretty much getting players from anywhere who have not made representative sides for other associations and giving them an opportunity. And I can tell you from over the years, a lot of kids that were provided an opportunity have gone on and now playing first grade Shires for us. So it's something that's very special. The girls is very special. We did have women's cricket a number of years ago. That unfortunately fell through. It was always a battle. But yeah, again, I think the biggest growth in cricket at the moment not only is veterans cricket, so anything from over 40s, but girls cricket is certainly on the way up.
Yeah.
And we're proud to be part of that.
I like the sounds of this veterans cricket, because I just am tired of watching balls whiz past my head at 135 now. So it's just timing's out, 10 years out of the game. I want to get back into it, but I just couldn't be bothered chasing some skinny young bloke around, chasing the ball around. Not my thing anymore. Fall more into the David Boone 54 beer category. So that sounds like something I could probably do.
Give it a try. But no, as I said, obviously veterans cricket is something we have had. We've had Masters over 40s teams the last few years, but just a bit hard this year with the number of grounds that we have and availabilities of grounds. So, but that's something we're looking to do again next season. Now there's over 40s, over 50s, and over 60s. Hopefully we'll be able to field a couple of teams in those competitions next year. So and that's where I'm heading.
Yeah, well, I've seen that, and I've seen and quietly surprised that the veterans. So I spoke to Michael Hungerford from Cuskill RSL, and I spoke to Vaughan Humphreys out in Hawkesbury. Vaughan's 70 years old. I didn't realise that the veterans, so the over 60s comp existed, or that it was as big as it is. So
very popular, and there's many a national and state carnival that go on. And it looks like they have a good time doing it. So, look, watch this space. I think, as you said, it's becoming more popular again, and it's a great option for guys like us as you get older. You don't want to be chased, having to point, 18-year-olds to go and chase the ball. It's again, it's a great way to stay social, particularly with men and men's mental health. I think it's real important to, have that opportunity to have that team environment and mateship around. As you move on in life.
Yeah, absolutely. So I like the opportunities with the women's cricket too, because T20 is a professional competition now, effectively. They're getting paid professional money, so it looks like the women can actually genuinely live off the money and service the sport properly without having to carry out 2 or 3 jobs, plus do that as well. There's a couple of other sports that are probably behind the 8 ball on that. And I think the women's BBL, they're benchmarking it in Australia right up there with the netball for service to professional women's sport. And the women's AFL now stepped up as well with that. It's good to see.
I think they've been a leader in that, to be honest. Again, getting some international talent in to supplement, the the Australian talent. It's obviously important that a lot of our stars are playing in the competition, which they do by having the competition early, which unfortunately we don't get much of in the BBL, men's BBL, due to the international program. Again, wonderful opportunities, not just as a cricket player, but obviously women. You're seeing now women professional umpires, coaches, administrators. It's big again. It's just growing. With again, the BBL's provided opportunities, which then, as you said, like look what AFL have had to jump. They've got more resources than any sport in this country by a country mile, and you're seeing now what they're starting to implement in terms of obviously finance, careers after football and the support network around everything. Which is again going to mean that it's greater for women's sport across the country in any sport, in other sports as well.
Yeah. So I remember even playing indoor cricket, and when I was coming through in the lower grades, so I only ever played lower grades cricket. But had Michelle Gosco out in the Hawkesbury, and she played for Australia 3 tests or something like that, and she scored one of the tests, scored 200. So
lovely girl, lovely lady too.
Yeah. Oh, you've met her, have you? Yeah.
Once, yeah. She does a bit of commentary as well, Michelle. Unfortunately, she been battling she's come back from a stroke last year, and and again, wonderful to see. Again, people like that getting out there, but she was a talent, and again, didn't have the opportunities that they had today. And imagine if players like her back then, and even like Lisa Sthalekar, she was just a few years. They were just a few years too early, I suppose, from all the opportunities that could have been there for them.
Yes, right. And even just recently, they've just released a bronze statue of Belinda Clark at the SCG. That's a massive step forward for women's cricket and everything like that too. So I think it's very well done by the Australian Cricket Association to do that.
I was fortunate enough to actually be there at the time of the ceremony and see the statue unveiled. Yeah, very important. She was certainly a leader. Again, there's another one. If she was the Tendulkar of women's cricket at the time. Fantastic. But yeah, as you said, recognition. And that's where, again, we like our club, again, it's important that, again, women are recognised and given opportunities, because not just about playing, it's everything else around it. Yeah.
So you ever had any net sessions with Don Nash and going, come on, big boy, wind it up? So point to the site. Well, here you go. I'm putting one over the fence, mate.
Funny you say that. Not really, because obviously Don struggled with injuries at the back end of his career, but he did when he first came to the club. I remember we were at Blacktown International Sports Park, indoor nets there, and he was only coming off a few paces, but was doing things with the ball I'd never seen before, like unbelievable. It was just doing everything. Just unfortunate that his knees and ankles are no good. He's obviously why he had to give away first class cricket and then grade cricket. But no, unfortunately, we haven't really seen him bowl. He tries to bowl a few leggies occasionally, but no, he could still bowl a good speed off 5 paces. But unfortunately, due to his injuries, we didn't see him at his quickest. I do remember him back in the day. He actually held the fastest one-day domestic 50 there for a while before Haydos come and broke it. I think it might have been off 22 balls or something. Haydos got it, but it was one day at North Sydney. So he although we don't see that much of him bowling, I've been lucky enough not to have to face barrages. It's usually the other way around. My bowling gets hit over the fence because he can hit a cricket ball a very long way. So he's more like our David Warner at the top of the order, but when he comes off, he can go large. But the bowling days are well over, unfortunately, mate.
So is your bowling style a bit short of length, medium pace? Just in
pretty much. If it swings, it's good. If it doesn't swing, I'm in trouble.
Yeah. So how quick do you reckon the fast guys are slinging it down these days? I remember the last real quick bowler I probably played against, and in terms of international or first class cricketers, he's probably not real quick, as Josh Layla. I played with him in Super League when he was 16, and he was slinging it about 125 then. And it's a jumping all over the place. It was pretty funny, just going, glad you're on my side, but 125 is quick, but I've faced quicker guys, faced some guys that can whip it probably about 140, but they were loose. They had no direction, so it was all over the place.
I think that's scarier than a fast bowler that you know is going to be consistent. And I think and you can only imagine what batsmen would have feared with Jeff Thompson, who didn't even know where he was bowling it. So, listen, probably don't get anything that quick. You'd say, funny enough, 125 seems not quick, but I was there on Thursday, side on to Andre Norkie, and at 145 to 150, that was quick. That was super quick. And as you said, the bowl. There's not as many genuine out-and-out fast bowlers these days. I think because of the mindset. Obviously, bowling's is not always great for your back. The amount of players that have suffered stress fractures and things. So I think people have been more reserved with their bodies, and particularly the younger age now with all the restrictions and everything. But in terms of Shires comp, we haven't seen any real quick ones around for a while. Again, you find it's predominantly batsmen that come back. But one guy now, so Paddy Lawrence is opening bowler at the moment, a former Hawkesbury opening bowler. Now he's a guy that could bowl some wheels. Back then, he's a little bit older now, but if he's had a quiet Christmas, he's going to come back ripping and tearing. But as I said, apart from that, again, it's just hard with fast bowling. It's a tough gig. And you've got to be super fit and put a lot of work into it.
So how big's the Shires comp these days? How far are you going playing games?
Well, the Shires competition at the currently 13 teams. Now, so the Shires competition, there is a clump of teams on the North Shore, Linfield, Roseville, Warringah, Lane Cove. Then you've got Epping and Pennant Hills, Auburn, Strathfield, Burwood in the inner west, out to Balmain, South Sydney, then down to Mount Pritchard, Southern Districts, and Georges River. So it's reasonably spread out with a number of clusters of clubs, in the middle. So the travel's not too bad. Unfortunately, it was a 14-team comp. Macquarie University had to pull out of the competition after they lost the use of their grounds, the cricket grounds. So that does unfortunately mean a bye throughout the year, which we've already had. But the travel's not too bad. It's not a bad drive over to Warringah from the hills up the M2. So no, it's not too bad, to be honest. People complain. It's not like grade Manly to Campbelltown or Hawkesbury to Sutherland or something like that. We don't certainly have it that bad.
Now, there's a lot of people wouldn't know you do a lot of extracurricular stuff on the side. So you host sports with Alive 90.5 on radio in the Hills district as well. Whereabouts are they based at?
Certainly, Hills, Parramatta, Hill. Yeah, certainly. Alive 90.5 is based at Borkham Hills, servicing the council areas of the Hills Shire, Cumberland, and Parramatta, the old Holroyd, of course. Cumberland's changed. I've been there a little while. Funny enough, the studio's across the road from where I grew up, and was just asked to come in one day while I was president of the club, just come in and do what we're doing now, have a bit of a chat about how the club's going and whatever. And they asked me to come back next week, and it's gone from there. So I've been involved with them since about 2013. Everything from a panel show to then progressed into live sport. There was well before the days of live streaming sports and things, we had the opportunity to start doing Wentworthville rugby league games and then Blacktown City football games. So got an opportunity to start live commentary, and then with the Kingsgrove T20 competition coming on board on Sunday afternoons, right in our time slot, that again just gave further opportunities. And then the world of streaming came in, mate, as you know, and we're looking for commentators. So I've been blessed to be at the right place at the right time, to do a lot of things that I never thought I'd do, but just do them for fun. We, like yourself, mate, love where I'm from and the community and all the people you meet through sport. and just the opportunity to do what I'm doing. Yeah, I said commentate a bit of football. So now doing some ground announcing for the Two Blues. That's been a wonderful opportunity. But just for me, it's all about the people you meet. Love sport, and to do this, as you know, mate, I see a lot of your posts and interviews. I think the beauty in what I've loved so much, just the people and being able to share stories about local clubs, because there's so many unsung heroes there, from the person that's the last one to clean up the canteen to fundraising to everything. Every sports club needs that involvement to survive. And so I enjoy sharing those stories of little clubs, big clubs, and from, as I said, but also talking to greats, test crew. Had the wonderful opportunity to talk to test cricketers, Olympians, dart, Simon Whitlock, Socceroos players, you name it. So again, could never have dreamed to do that, mate, to be honest. Right place, right time.
Yeah, that's why I like it. It's the best. It's the best thing. You hear all the best stories, and everyone's got a story to tell. And every club will need volunteers. And the best thing is, the last few years with all the live streaming and different things that happen, for the bad things that come out of COVID, good things that happen now, there's a lot more people telling the story about clubs and sports. Never had the opportunities to do so before. So I think it's the best thing in the world. So it's the maddest fun.
You're not wrong.
What would your ideal aim, if you could do anything? Well, kick on from here and go anywhere, do anything. What would like your ambition be? Cricket wise, sports wise, commentary wise, anything?
Oh, wow. Oh, it's hard as you get closer to the big 5-0. It's hard to find those ambitions in life, mate. I would like to. I've had a couple of opportunities which fell through to play cricket in England. I'd love to go and just have a season playing village cricket, and feel that experience. But I'm also a mad Liverpool fan, so I'd like to do the tour. I haven't done that yet, so that would be probably England would be my thing. Commentary, mate. Would I love to commentate a test match at the SCG in Richie Bena's seat? Of course, but don't think that's going to happen. But no, I'm just happy doing what I'm doing, mate. And to get the chance to share more stories and keep having fun playing and being involved in sport. That's my goal.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, you're doing a good job promoting the club at the moment that you're involved with, and the sport of cricket, because a lot of people still love the game and they're to hear all the good stories. I'm tired of hearing things like about the Australian cricket team's getting old. Well, they might be playing in this Masters comp soon, some of these guys. So.
Well, 35's not old. No. If you're fit enough and you're good enough, it doesn't matter how old you are. You're right. So and likewise, you're doing a great job telling stories as well, mate. So it's happy to share stories as well. And mate, I'll hopefully get to see you around the traps again in 2023.
Yeah, absolutely will. So I look forward to catching up with you. And I'm going to put this out for everyone. Want to hear this? This will go up as a podcast probably in the next day or so. Probably upload it tonight. Actually, I'm not sure how long it'll take to upload. Sometimes it's slow. Sometimes it's a bit faster. And I will definitely catch up with you in 2023 and hope to collaborate a little bit with you if we can, if you're interested.
Thank you. Hopefully be able to report on a few Hurricanes premierships in March.
That would be nice, definitely. Anyway, Dave, thanks for your time. Appreciate that. And we'll chat with you again. Absolutely.
Thank you again, Duckman. Appreciate your efforts. Good man.
Thank you.